Well, hello, everybody. I'm Jonathan Williams, ALEC Executive Vice President of Policy and Chief Economist. And today, really happy to be joined by two of our attendees here, first-time ALEC attendees, Hilary and Brad Scott, small business owners here from the great state of Arizona who are coming to us to tell us their story. And I'll tell you, listening to their remarks yesterday and looking forward to hearing their remarks today, it's an incredible story of what your family business, your small business has gone through in the wake of the Wayfair decision on internet sales taxes, remote sales taxes, an issue that ALEC and our members have cared about for many years. So first off, thank you for being here. We're really excited to hear your story. Tell us a little bit about the background of your business.
Sure, thank you for having us. So as you mentioned, we are a second generation family-owned business. We've been in business since 1973, and we're a wholesaler of jewelry supplies. So we sell to companies in every state in the country and in many countries around the world. And really, the Wayfair ruling has affected us a great deal. Because we distribute so widely, we're now registered and filing sales tax in about 30 states, and we're encountering significant difficulties. It's a very burdensome mandate, it's time-consuming and resource-consuming, and we're also facing a lot of overreach situations from individual states as we engage.
Brad, what are the most egregious cases that you've faced so far from these out-of-control revenue departments, just like ALEC and so many of us have warned would happen if we took off protections for small business?
Well, the three states that stand out the most at this point in time are Wyoming, Pennsylvania, and Tennessee. Wyoming and Pennsylvania both threatened to put a lien on our property. Tennessee went a step further and threatened to seize our property, and in all of these instances, we were in compliance. It was the certified service provider that we used that had failed to file and remit on our behalf. And what's really galling is that the amounts involved were less than $100 in each instance.
Unreal that a state that prides itself in fiscal responsibility, a state like Tennessee, would be so aggressive in threatening to seize your property. I found that just very depressing when you made that comment yesterday. When you look at the issue of compliance costs, you gave some really scary statistics. This was something that we warned when we filed the ALEC amicus brief with the U.S. Supreme Court in the Wayfair versus South Dakota case, that compliance costs could put small businesses really on the brink of having to shut down. What's your experience been there?
Well, to date, we have spent over $162,000 to collect less than $68,000. So we're spending $2.39 for every dollar of sales tax that we collect. And what's worse is that we have had to divert 3,300 hours of time towards this project, which is being used instead of growing our business. So we are now effectively surrogate tax collectors for states across the country and no longer really tax revenue suppliers to the state of Arizona.
And we were all told that the software was so good these days. That was what many of the arguments were made, that small businesses need to sign up and you had free software that would take care of all your problems. Why wasn't that the case?
Yeah, it really wasn't the case, and I think people failed to appreciate what a complex integration that is. So there are significant setup costs associated with adding that piece of sales tax software because it must be tightly integrated with your entire IT network. So that's expensive in the setup phase, and it's also something that has to be constantly maintained month to month and year to year. So we're dedicating a lot of IT time and resources to integrating that system, making sure it works properly, and constantly reconciling from month to month to stay on top of things. People talked about this software like it was a cell phone app, and it would just download to your phone, take care of everything, and you wouldn't have to think about it. And that's really inaccurate. So we're trying to bring that to light and also show that the software is making mistakes. And right now, small businesses are liable for those mistakes in every state that isn't a streamlined state. So that's a tremendous amount of liability for us as small business owners that's really difficult to accept.
Well, and even further than that, with the streamlined states, in the last 12 months, we've received 35 different notifications of failures to file or remit, which with the streamlined states, that is the responsibility of the CSP that we use. And now Pennsylvania has added one more to that, giving us a total of 36 because they are contracted independently with the CSP that we use. And as a result, we don't trust the software at this point in time, which is really challenging as a business owner because if you can't trust the resources that you're being commanded to use, then how do you trust the system at all?
One of the things that people have raised even before the Wayfair decision is that if we did away with the physical presence standard for sales taxes, which was the old standard, of course, under the Quill ruling pre-Wayfair, then revenue departments and states would get revenue hungry and aggressive, and they would not stop necessarily at sales taxes with this new economic nexus doctrine that was now purported under Wayfair. They would actually try to apply that to income and other types of taxes at the state level. And you mentioned that yesterday in your presentation. So it wasn't a slippery slope argument. This is actually happening now post-Wayfair on income taxes and others.
That's correct. States are applying their economic nexus laws to other tax types, and chief among them is income tax on businesses outside of their borders. And that can be in the form of income tax specifically, or also gross receipts taxes. So now that they're pegging those direct taxes to economic nexus, that's a real threat to businesses. That's taxation without representation, and we take major issue with that.
Scary stuff for those of us who believe in tax competition. That states need to be constrained by real limits, and perhaps Congress will visit this issue eventually. As we wrap up here, this was your first ALEC meeting. Hopefully it's been a great experience. What's the reaction been from ALEC lawmakers as you've told your story both in front of groups and personally this week?
Yeah, you know, we were never politically active before. This issue really brought us to ALEC and to the political arena. And I have to say I'm really impressed. Lawmakers have been willing to listen. They've been willing to engage with us and ask questions. And really, at this phase, we're trying to educate policymakers on what implementation of this Wayfair mandate really looks like on the ground. And we've been thrilled with the response, the reception from lawmakers, and their willingness to really hear us out.
I think that you could also say that a lot of the people we've been speaking with have got great intentions, but they really don't understand the consequences of this legislation. And actually, it's not even legislation, it was a court decision. But they don't understand the consequences of it to small businesses like ours, and they've really opened up and listened to us, and I think when they head back home to their home districts, they're going to be bringing a different perspective with them that will be beneficial to small businesses.
Well, Hilary, Brad, Scott, thank you for being with us. Thank you for telling your important story here at ALEC, and we look forward to working with you in the months and years ahead.
Thank you.
This is Jonathan Williams signing out with ALEC TV.